The truth about Diogo Jota's burial will haunt you. Before we dive in, kindly hit the subscribe button and let us know where you are watching from in the comment. Rain fell like punishment, heavy, punishing, relentless. It turned the soil to mud, soaked through the suits of mourners, and made the polished casket look like it had been dredged up from the riverbed. But no one left, no one dared, because this wasn't just any funeral. It was Diogo Jota's, a name every household in Portugal knew, a rising star in European football, young, fit, fiercely competitive, beloved, dead, and nobody could explain why. Official reports said it was suicide, that Jota had been battling undiagnosed depression. But something didn't sit right. No suicide note, no history, no drugs in his system, no signs of struggle. His body was found fully dressed, seated calmly in the passenger seat of his locked car, parked deep inside a private garage beneath his Lisbon apartment. The engine was off, windows cracked, and most chilling of all, a shovel lay in the back seat. The media called it a mental health tragedy. Detectives weren't so sure. Neither was his family. The cemetery was heavily guarded. Not for fans or press, for something else, something unspoken. Diogo's mother wept with her face hidden in a veil. His wife, Mariana, didn't cry at all. She stood stone still, arms crossed, watching everyone, especially the priest. He stuttered through his homily, skipped entire paragraphs, and said the same phrase 3 times. He was taken too soon, but not without cause. Not without cause. What cause? 1 week earlier, Diogo had hosted a private dinner party. Only 7 people were present. Diogo Jota, Mariana Jota, his wife, his agent, Rafael Moreira, his therapist, Dr. Ines Silva, a journalist friend, Paulo Costa, his cousin, Bruno, a family pastor no one could later identify by name. That night, Diogo reportedly made a toast. "If I don't show up to training tomorrow, just know, I left because I finally understood the game." Everyone laughed. Only Paulo remembered it clearly. Police discovered a handwritten journal beneath Diogo's mattress. A single entry: "The game isn't on the pitch. It's underneath it, beneath all of us. There's something here, rooted in silence." No one could explain what it meant. But when investigators returned to his apartment a second time, the journal had vanished. Only one person had access between visits: his wife. Mariana told police she last saw Diogo alive around 9 p.m. Phone records showed he made a call at 10:17 p.m. to a burner number traced to Porto. The recipient never answered. But that number, it was active for exactly 17 minutes, then destroyed. When Diogo's car was found the next morning, the keys were in the ignition. But the battery had been drained intentionally. A mechanic later confirmed, this didn't happen on accident. Someone rewired the electrical panel to keep the car silent. Completely silent. Why? A single image was leaked anonymously to a sports gossip page hours after the funeral. It showed Diogo Jota standing in a dimly lit tunnel, possibly a parking garage. His eyes were wide, not scared, focused. Behind him, a figure in a hooded sweatshirt held what appeared to be a coffin lid. The caption simply read, "He walked into it willingly." No metadata, no GPS data, but the timestamp, the night he died. As Diogo's coffin was lowered, something bizarre happened. A soft, mechanical click was heard from beneath the casket. Everyone froze. The gravedigger paled. He stepped back, dropped his shovel, and whispered to the priest, "That sound. It's a recorder." They paused the burial. Police were called. When they lifted the coffin back out, a recorder was found taped underneath. Still running. The audio, 6 hours of silence. Then, a voice. It wasn't Diogo's. It was a woman. She whispered, "He's not the first. He won't be the last. You buried the messenger." The next morning, a second funeral was announced. Same cemetery, same hour, same priest. The body, the family pastor, and no one could remember his face. The funeral was scheduled, but there was no obituary. No official death certificate. No family to claim the body. No record the man had ever existed. Yet there he was, laid out in a polished black coffin, closed tight. The priest wore the same robes, read the same verses. Only this time he didn't fumble his words. He didn't say anything at all. The grave was dug directly beside Diogo Jota's. No headstone, no marker, just freshly turned earth. The police were present, but not uniformed. No one spoke aloud. Only glances passed between them. What was this second funeral? And who exactly had been buried? Two officers, Inspector Duarte and Detective Ramos, were assigned to quietly investigate the family pastor. But when they arrived at the Lisbon coroner's office, they were met with silence. The receptionist glanced at the sheet, frowned, and whispered, "There's no autopsy for that name. No file at all." Duarte pulled the ID photo. The receptionist paused. "That man was here yesterday. He signed out a body." "Which body?" "Diogo Jota's." CCTV from the morgue showed the mystery pastor arriving at 2:42 a.m. using an old badge ID from 2017. The system didn't flag it. He walked in alone, walked out with a body bag. But it wasn't Diogo's body. Diogo had already been buried, or so everyone thought. The man's ID name? Lucas Montero. But no such person existed in the national database. His fingerprints? Removed. A ghost. A USB was delivered anonymously to Paulo Costa, the journalist who attended Diogo's last dinner. No note, no envelope, just the flash drive. He plugged it into his laptop. A single video, 7 minutes long, black and white, grainy, surveillance-style footage. It showed Diogo Jota sitting in a circle of chairs. 6 others were with him, faces unclear. The camera flickered. They were all barefoot. No one spoke. In the background, a chalkboard read, "The silence is the game." At the 6:17 mark, Diogo stands, looks at the camera, and says, "We're not dead yet. We're waiting. The burial is the beginning." The screen goes black. Investigators searched Diogo's training facility. Deep in the basement, behind the cold room, they found a hidden compartment inside Diogo's locker. Inside, a second passport, a train ticket to Paris, dated 2 weeks after his death, a book, How to Stage a Disappearance, and a small silver whistle. The whistle had something carved into it. "When they blow the final call, don't answer. Just dig." That night, graveyard staff reported strange activity. 2 workers claimed they saw people, figures in tracksuits, wandering between rows of graves. When security was called, they vanished. But near Diogo's grave, fresh soil had been disturbed, and stuck in the dirt was the whistle. It hadn't been dropped. It had been placed, pointing downward. Detective Ramos returned to the funeral home to review burial documents. Inside the pastor's coffin, listed on the form, was a small handwritten note. "This body is placeholder. The real one will return." The signature at the bottom? Diogo Jota. For more chilling true crime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. The cemetery closed at 9 p.m., but the cameras never did. At 2:46 a.m., infrared picked up motion near plot 17A, Diogo Jota's grave. A figure emerged through the fog. Slim, hooded, barefoot. He carried a single shovel. And he wasn't alone. 2 others flanked him, both in tracksuits. One carried a lantern, the other a duffel bag. They moved with precision, not like vandals, like surgeons. And they weren't digging someone else's grave. They were digging Diogo's. By morning, the grave appeared untouched. But when the groundskeeper stepped into the plot, he sank nearly a foot deeper than normal. He called the police. Forensics arrived. Ground-penetrating radar confirmed it. The coffin was gone, but the soil had been packed perfectly, sealed like nothing happened. No signs of a break-in, no tire tracks, no footprints beyond the groundskeepers. They checked the cemetery logs. No visitors, except one. A name scribbled at 8:59 p.m. DJ. Investigators followed the train ticket found in Diogo's locker. It had been scanned at Gare du Orient in Lisbon the morning after the funeral. Video footage showed a man boarding the train. Baseball cap, sunglasses, limping slightly. He held a newspaper up as he walked, but a sharp-eyed agent froze the frame. The headline on the paper: Jota laid to rest. Portugal mourns. The timestamp on the video: 24 hours after the burial. French authorities found a duffel bag abandoned near an old metro tunnel in Montreal. Inside, Diogo's football cleats perfectly clean, a burned SIM card, a page torn from his journal. The note read, "They trained me for the field, but I was never meant to play." On the back of the page, a crude map leading to a location labeled only the base. Interpol followed the coordinates to an abandoned church-turned-fitness center in the outskirts of Lyon. Inside, walls were painted black, mirrors smashed, speakers rigged to play white noise. But behind the altar was a room, 17 chairs, each one labeled with a number. On the floor, carved into concrete, "Don't cheer for the dead." In the center of the room, coffin. Inside the coffin, a football jersey, number 20. Jota's number, but it had been shredded. The same priest who presided over Diogo's funeral was found unconscious at a roadside chapel in Portugal. Burn marks on his palms, his clothes soaked in salt water. When he woke up, he whispered, "He's alive, but it's not him." The night before Diogo's official tomb was to be rededicated, a voicemail was left on Paulo Costa's phone. No caller ID. The voice was Diogo's. "I didn't fake my death. I finished the first level." Pause. "Tell them not to dig again. If they do, they'll find what I left behind." Then static, and the sound of cheering fans. But it wasn't a stadium. It echoed like it came from underground. That same night, a video file appeared on the Lisbon police server. No one uploaded it. No trace of origin. It showed Diogo Jota, alive, standing over a grave, looking into the camera. He whispered, "This isn't football. This is survival." Then the screen cut to black. One word flashed across it: "Next." The next morning, Diogo Jota appeared at a charity match in Madrid. He wasn't on the lineup. He wasn't expected. But he jogged onto the pitch during halftime. No announcement, no resistance, and no one stopped him. Because he looked exactly like Diogo. Same gait, same smile, same signature number 18 jersey. But something was off. His eyes, flat, expressionless, like he was moving on muscle memory. And when the ball rolled his way, he didn't kick it. He picked it up, stared into the crowd, then walked off the field. The clip went viral. Jota returns from the dead. But Paulo Costa watched it again and again. Zoomed in, frame by frame. One shot caught the imposter blinking. And behind his ear, where Diogo once had a scar from a childhood bike accident, nothing. The man wasn't Diogo. He was a copy. Meanwhile, French police raided a storage unit connected to the same burner phone used before Diogo's funeral. Inside, in a sealed casket, a body, too decomposed for easy ID. But DNA results confirmed it. It was Diogo Jota. He'd been dead for over a week before the funeral, and he'd been embalmed. Interpol ran facial recognition scans on the Madrid imposter. 0 matches, no criminal history, no biometric signature. But a tech analyst noticed something odd. The man's facial movements were delayed by milliseconds, enough to suggest he wasn't moving his face, but wearing one, a hyper-realistic mask, custom-made. A second map was recovered, this time mailed anonymously to Dr. Ines Silva, the therapist who once treated Diogo. It led to an underground bunker outside Porto. Inside, 13 mannequins, seated around a table. Each wore a football jersey. Each had a different human face stretched over its head. In the center of the table, a note: "Substitutions are legal. Only the coach decides when." A name kept appearing in Diogo's old journals. The coach sees through the grass. One entry read, "He said I wasn't running fast enough. Not toward the goal, but away from the whistle." Interpol believed this wasn't metaphor. They traced payments made to Diogo's foundation, funneled from offshore accounts linked to a man named Artur Vale, a former team psychologist, disgraced, disappeared in 2014. A profile of him matched the voice from the graveyard recording. He's not the first. He won't be the last. Security footage from Diogo's funeral was enhanced again. In the far corner of the cemetery, 3 spectators stood apart. Not dressed in black, not grieving. They wore matching green windbreakers, holding clipboards, watching. One of them had the same gait as the Madrid imposter. They weren't mourners. They were scouts. The following week, a major exhibition match was held in Istanbul. On the Jumbotron, the starting lineup was announced. One name appeared that silenced the stadium. Number 20 Jota. The announcer paused, looked up from the sheet. We've just received confirmation that this player is not registered. But the man had already taken the field. He raised his hands to the crowd, and then pointed to the sky, to a drone hovering silently overhead. The drone projected a message onto the stadium roof. This game isn't over. The Istanbul stadium emptied within minutes. Security couldn't contain the panic, because when the drone's message faded, a second one appeared. The real game begins now. A blackout swept the arena. Full power cut. No floodlights. No backups. Then a new feed appeared on all screens inside the stadium Jumbotron, phones, even police radios. A video, Diogo Jota, but this time undeniably real. He sat in what looked like a locker room, one light swinging above. His face gaunt, eyes sunken, voice calm. They said it started with silence, but it ended with screaming. He took a deep breath. I didn't kill myself. I was recruited. We were trained, conditioned, told the world needed balance. Earthquakes don't happen because of tectonic plates. They happen because the silence breaks. A beat. And the coach was never just one man. He leaned closer. It's a system, and I'm not the only player who died. Interpol received a package hours later. Contained 18 laminated player cards, each with a name, photo, number, and cause of death. 12 were already confirmed dead. 6 were missing. All were athletes, entertainers, influencers, people whose deaths had been ruled accidental, overdoses, suicides. At the bottom of the deck, number 20 Jota. Cause of death, unknown. Game status, active. A hidden symbol was discovered in the drone footage, a GPS grid overlay. When mapped, it led to a remote island off the Portuguese coast. The island's name? Ilha do Silencio. Satellite images showed a single facility, dome-shaped, surrounded by fences. The island was privately owned by a holding company linked to Artur Vale. Portuguese special forces launched a covert operation. Inside the dome, dozens of identical rooms, monitors playing footage of different individuals, training stations with obstacle courses. In the center, a broadcast room, where live footage was still streaming. To where? Unknown. But in the main control room was a massive whiteboard, labeled, Next Fixture, Santiago Bernabeu, 7 days. In one final room, they found a voice-activated recording system. It played as they stepped in. You were looking for players, but you never asked who funded the stadium. You thought this was a game about football, but it's not about kicking goals. It's about knowing who whistles and who obeys. The world watched as the footage was leaked. Families reopened cases. Fans withdrew support. The league tried to suppress it all, but the truth had cracked the silence. Interpol named Artur Vale and 5 co-conspirators as wanted fugitives. Diogo's body was never found again, and 2 weeks later, the Santiago Bernabeu match was cancelled because a new drone appeared in the sky above Madrid. It dropped 18 player cards. One landed at the feet of Paulo Costa. He turned it over. Number 19 Costa. Cause of death, pending. The screen fades to black, and one final line appears. The game never ends. It just picks new players. For more chilling true crime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.